Blue Velvet was my first David Lynch movie. I hadn't read the script yet. He walked out, and I, was just startled by every aspect of him. And he looked at me, and I was waiting for this these magical words. And it was a magical moment, but he went, "I have to pee." And so, so he disappeared.
In the case of Lost Highway, I'd say David. So, am I playing two different people? Yes. Is one of them a ghost? Is one a hallucination? Are these real people? What am I playing here? I don't know, Patricia. What do you think? So I had to come up with a whole concept of what I thought Lost Highway was about. At one point when I was talking about, okay, I think for the Renee character I should have dark hair and blunt cut bangs like Betty Page. And David said, "Who's that?" And I was like, "Betty Page, David. Betty Page! If you don't know Betty Page." And then I turned him on to Betty Page, and he was like, "Oh, Betty Page, wow, she's the bee's knees. Wow."
I sat down and was like, "Hi," and he said, "Nice to meet you, Naomi." He's got that intense ear-to-ear grin, and smoking up a storm. "So how's your day? Tell me everything." I'm like, "Well, what?" Like, I got on the plane, and I'm in New York. I had theater tickets, and they told me to come here, so I came here. And, "Wait, are you really interested in this? Do you..." And he was like, "Yeah, tell me everything." You got to remember, I was at a point where I'd been auditioning for 10 years, and people could barely give you eye contact. But with David, he was just genuinely interested.
I got a call that he wanted to meet me at Bob's Big Boy to see if Kyle MacLachlan and I could get along or something. It was like a chemistry lunch. We ordered malts and French fries, and David was doodling on napkins while Kyle was doodling with a knife into his ketchup. And I mean, a girl either goes, "These are really bizarre men and they're twin souls," or "I'm in love with both these people and want to spend the rest of my lives with them," which is how I responded. My nickname is Tidbit. The only other two I know are Naomi is Buttercup and Patricia is Solid Gold. And I'm Tidbit since I was 16. I just remember he said, "Cut, Tidbit. You'll have them bolting for the fire exits." I was like, oh my God. Seemingly crushed, but he was so happy. I guess I did it the way he wanted me to.
He has a megaphone, right? Even if there's like 3 people in the room. It's so cool. I really, really like that kind of commitment. He has a cig hanging out of his mouth, and he's like, "I need a little more danger in her face." The table wasn't quite dirty enough, and so he was just like on the megaphone, "Can I get a Bisquick?" And someone comes over with Bisquick, and he starts like with a cig hanging out of his mouth, like rubbing a paste of like gunk to spread over the table in front of me. It was truly one of my favorite moments.
King Kong came along, so I called David, and I'll never forget what he said. "Naomi, anyone who sits in the hand of King Kong will be a movie star for life." That's what he said. So I said, okay.
Wild at Heart was such an intimate movie that he was usually sitting on the bed while we were doing our love scenes, and we had scenes where we'd get the giggles and he'd have to like pinch our feet to get us to stop laughing. But he was always right there, always right next to the camera, very, very close. And usually as we were rolling, he'd be able to somehow whisper in my ear and then go back and hide, which was just beautiful.
I remember there's this big scene in the desert that Balthazar, Getty, and I have at the end of the movie, and I have this robe on, and I don't have any clothes on underneath. I said to Balthazar, "Okay, when we're supposed to be having sex and I'm sitting on top of you, put your hands on my boobs and keep them there." I'm like, "Balthazar, I'd rather you touch my boobs than the world see my boobs. So keep your hands on my boobs." I wanted to change my nails for, these are Renee's nail colors. These are Alice's nail colors. And so I would be changing my nails in between scenes, sometimes like 5 times a day, going back and forth between characters. And I remember I painted these kind of greenish blue nails in one scene, and we shot it. David was like, oh, I just saw the dailies. Thank God you did that nail color, because it's just zing, zing.
You know what David does, which I love? It's like he's in the scene with you. He's on his megaphone, even when he's like 2 feet away from you. Such a freak. And he'll often direct you in the scene. You say a line and then, say it again. No, rip his head off. Just go for it, Naomi. Just take him by the balls. And, you know, like, he'll just give you these. And you actually, it gets you going. It does. Like, I think not everyone could do that. Like, if certain directors, if they would really, like, throw me. But there's something about David where he's in the scene with you and it feels comfortable and it feels good.